Hello again, everybody. Tom Leyden with you. Thanks for listening to the Westwood Living Podcast. I'm coming to you from a place where I've never been before, the basement of the Islington branch of the Westwood Public Library, and I am with Michael Walsh. How are you, Mr. Walsh?
Great. I'm great, Tom. Thanks for having me. I appreciate this.
Well, I appreciate the fact that we were with each other at the Westwood Community Chest Gala of Giving, and that's where this brainstorm began. And frankly, I did the school committee members before we did the select board members.
I'll forgive you for that part, but okay.
But we got there, and it has been amazing to see the engagement. It really speaks to how people of this town care about their town government, and you've been a part of that town government now for, I believe, 9 years, correct?
That is correct, 9 years.
So
yes.
You're headed up, you're trying to win re-election for a fourth term.
Correct, yes.
And I guess the natural question is, give us some of the highlights, some of the things you've learned over the course of that nearly a decade in your seat on the select board.
So, what I've really learned over time is that it takes a lot of time. People think that first of all, it's not a paid position, and I want people to realize that you don't get paid to be select board member. But we've done a lot of things. We've put in a new fire station right outside here. We redid this library that we're sitting in right now. We did a new police station over on Route 1. We did a lot of great things in under 2.5, and that was the way we really worked. We know that people are not going to vote for an override for a municipal building, so we had to find a way to work it within our taxes so that the residents could get the best product, and we do that by being really fiscally responsible. I mean, we have a AAA bond rating, and we've had it for 27 years. What that does, that allows our town to borrow money at the best rate that's on the market. There aren't a lot of, especially towns, that are as good at it as we have been for 27 years. And we continue to do it. And, give you an example, the new Hanlon School, or what was the Hanlon School, now to be Pine Hills. We did that, the best we could within Prop 2.5, but we spread it out over 30 years because Westwood is a town that the schools matter a lot. And a lot of people come to town, educate their children, and then a lot of them move on and go somewhere else. So the thought process was, by making it 30 years, we'd have more of the people using the school actually paying for the school. And so those are some of the great things that have happened since my 9 years.
What's opened your eyes just about being a member of the select board? How have things changed in your 3 terms?
Well, what I think is, obviously, the board changed. When I first came on the board, there were 2 members who were there no less than 15 years. And in the last 3 years, we have 2 new select board members who are there in their first terms. So as the senior guy on the select board, I have a little bit of knowledge of what's happened in the past, ideas of how we should handle things going forward. We have a new town administrator, we have a new HR person, and we have 2 new select board members. So I think my history and my having been here before really helps all of them come along into their growing into the position. And I don't claim to be a teacher, but I claim to be able to give them some advice as to how things have happened in the past.
You mentioned a lot that's happened in the last 9 years, but for most people, they look at where we are right now, this Islington development, and it was hairy and bumpy at times, but what do you take away from that process now that it's pretty much 98, 99% done?
So what's really interesting, Tom, is for those that were here and remember, when this first came out, I lived in Islington and still live on the Islington side. But when this first came out, the residents were against it, or enough of the residents were against it, who were making a lot of noise that they didn't want it. And so I was actually working with the Islington Community Health Center. We had a task force, and I was working on that task force, sat through many meetings, heard from residents, et cetera. In fact, towards the end, I was taking over because the person who was the chair was unable to attend. We did a vote. The vote was 11-1 based on the plan. That plan included 28 single apartments and included a lot of other things. But the residents didn't want that. So when the final vote came down, the vote out of the 12 members was 11-1. Guess who was the one? And when at the select board, I was outvoted 3-2. 2-1, right? And so when that happened, I said, okay, if I'm going to lose, I want to be in charge of negotiating. I want to be the select board liaison to negotiate with the developer and with the residents and get the best deal that we can. CVS changed its location, and CVS statewide said, no, we're not coming in if we're not getting 15,000 square feet and a drive-through. I spoke with the developer who said, I have tried, they will not. I demanded a meeting with them. And at that point in time, it was virtual. And by the time we finished that meeting and I had explained the residents and their requests, we got it down to 10,000 square feet, no drive-through. We got down to, instead of 28 single apartments, we got down to 18 two-bedroom condos. So we really worked hard. We kept the look of the church. We did everything that we could to possibly make the residents appreciate what it would look like at the end. And I think it looks fantastic. We got new restaurants, we're revitalized. And the real estate agents are telling me across town, this is the side to live in right now. Everyone wants to be on the Islington side. So we're going to try to see what we can do on the other side, on the High Street side of town.
Now that's coming, right? You know that's going to be coming over the course of the next couple of years, which leads to the next question. Should you win re-election, what remains on the front burner? What are the hottest topics that you and the rest of the select board will need to tackle?
So the hottest topics that we have is always priorities, right? It's going to be the priorities. Number one priority has always been the schools. So we're redoing the school where the Hanlon School was. We're redoing that. We still have the Sheehan School to figure out. So that's on the top of the list. We need a new fire station. The fire station on High Street is basically tipping backwards, and it has a lot of issues, and that has to be resolved. We have the issue of course, Hale Reservation. What are we going to do with Hale Reservation? Hale is looking for $10 million from us. We also have a sidewalk on Gay Street that the residents have designed and just needs to be put forward and see where it goes. And the problem is, where is the priority? My job is not to decide the priority. My job is to figure out how we present it and let people make the decision that works best for themselves.
Why do you want to keep doing it?
Honestly, Tom, I do like the job. I like people. I'm a people person. I'm approachable. I mean, listen, I've spent 35 years representing injured workers and families for workers' comp and Social Security. So I deal with the average working person every single day. And I feel that I bring that to the select board, the openness, the approachableness. You have something that's on your mind, convince me. And I can be convinced. I've actually changed my opinion once I hear a good argument or something I didn't consider. That, I'm not afraid to say it. On the select board, I've been voted out, 2-1 several times. And every vote, if it were taken again today, I would probably still vote the same way, with maybe one exception. But, I'm not afraid to express the minority opinion. I'm not afraid to be that person. I can stand on the island if I have to because I believe it's right. And only time will tell whether who's right or wrong.
You talked about being part of a panel and having one vote in 3. I asked a similar question to the school committee candidates. What makes you the right candidate to work within that system where it is a 33% vote?
So the number one thing that I always say is, I try to tell everyone, my opinion is my opinion, and your opinion is your opinion. And just because I'm sitting on the board doesn't make it better. It just makes it mine. And so being able to understand and respect people have a difference of opinion and why that's there, people like to be heard. And as long as you understand their position, you don't necessarily have to agree with it. And I'll be honest, I can't get in my house of 5. Sometimes I am the minority. So, I understand that. And people are going to differ in opinion. It's a matter of how you respect them and show them the respect for their side.
So, personal questions. Just tell us a little bit about your background. I know that you talked about being a lawyer, but how long have you been around the area? As a person who's only been here 8 years, you've been on the select board for longer than I've been here.
Right. So my wife and I came here with 3 young kids. We came from West Roxbury. We came here, I believe, in 2007, right after Hurricane Katrina. And so I ended up carrying 2 mortgages for about 8 months because the market just took a drop. My house in West Roxbury sat there for 8 months. But we came here for the schools like everyone else. We had young kids, and it's a great school system. And so we wanted to continue. And, I have been, as much as I've been a lawyer for 35 years, I have been, ready for this, Tom, I have been a disc jockey since I was 17.
Hidden talents.
Right? And so that's why I told you I'm not afraid of the microphone when it comes up. And that's a joke within the select board, too. Give it to Mike. He's not afraid of the microphone. But I've used that talent here in town. I've helped fundraisers for the Sheehan School. I've helped fundraisers for the hockey program. I charge them half of what I usually charge. And, I volunteer every year for the Westwood Road Race, is that I'm out there as a select board, and people don't know it, but I'm emceeing the race, and I'm doing all the fun stuff for the race, and I've done that. I think this is our 8th year, and I think I've done it 6 out of the 8 years, mainly because now that I have kids in college, it's been parents' weekend, so I'd rather be with my kids than to do the road race and hand it off to somebody else. But, I continue to use that talent, when necessary, to do public speaking and to help the schools and the fundraisers whenever I can. In fact, I started DJing originally for the town for the community chest when I first came here. Now it's been handed off to a younger individual to continue, and you were doing the emceeing, so that was okay. I was glad to enjoy the evening instead of having to MC.
How do people learn more about you between now and Election Day, which is April 25th?
So the easy way for those who don't know me is, I have a Facebook page, and I work and live in town, and I am never afraid. People know if they want to reach me. Some go through the select board and they'll send me an email. Others just pick up the phone, knowing that Attorney Michael Walsh is in Westwood, and they can call my office. And people do all the time and call me up and say, "Hey, Mike, I have a question for you." And I'll take the time out of my busy day to be able to answer the resident questions and to tell them if I don't have the answer, let me do some checking. I'll get back to you. So people can reach me by calling me. Yes, if you actually pick up the telephone, you can actually talk to me. And I'm here in Westwood, and my cell phone is out there. You can private message me on Facebook. I have a Westwood Select Board page, which has been there for 9 years, and I try to post things in town that are happening. But I'm approachable, so just come and see me. And like I said, my opinion is mine, and yours is yours, and let's see if we can reach some middle ground somewhere if we differ.
That is Michael Walsh. He is running for re-election for the Select Board here in Westwood. Election Day is April 25th. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Tom.
And I'm glad that we came up with this idea, because this idea has been kind of hot, and people in this town want to learn more about their town government. So thanks so much for taking the time.
Thanks, Tom. I appreciate it. And listen, good luck with your Westwood Living magazine. It's doing fantastic.
I appreciate that. You've been a big help launching that as well, connecting me with a lot of people who have been supportive. So that does not go unrecognized.
Thanks, Tom.
For all of you who listen, thanks so much. You can always reach out to me, Leyden at bestversionmedia.com. If you've got ideas of other people I should chat with, please feel free. Just like you can reach out to Mike, I'm pretty visible too, and you can find me, and we'll continue these conversations on the Westwood Living Podcast Network.